We spend so much of our lives afraid of something. Sometimes it is a quiet whisper in the back of our minds. Other times it is a loud alarm bell. We worry about our children even when they are grown. We worry about our health, our security, and the uncertainty of the years ahead. It feels like we are constantly waiting for the other shoe to drop. Fear, in small doses, is actually a precious gift. It is a biological signal designed to keep us safe from physical danger. It stops us from walking too close to the edge of a cliff. It makes us cautious when we need to be. But today, I want to talk about a different kind of fear. I want to talk about the fear that paralyzes us. The anxiety that tightens your chest in the middle of the day. The racing thoughts that keep you awake at 3 a.m. when the house is silent but your mind is screaming. Why does this happen to us? Usually, this heavy, suffocating fear comes from one specific place. It happens when our desire to control the outcome outweighs our trust in the process. We grip the steering wheel of life so tightly that our knuckles turn white, terrified that if we let go, even for a second, everything will fall apart. There is a fine line between caring and worrying. Caring is an act of love. But worry is a hidden desire to play God. We think that if we worry enough, we can prevent bad things from happening. But deep down, we know this is an illusion. The spiritual antidote to this paralysis is a simple, ancient truth: Thy will be done. For those of us with faith, we know that while we have free will to make choices, the final rhythm of the universe belongs to a higher power. When you truly accept that what is happening on the spiritual plane has already been decided, you stop fighting the current. You realize that you cannot control the weather, you can only adjust your sails. This surrender isn't weakness, it is the ultimate strength. It allows you to say, I will do my best and I leave the rest to God. Let me give you a practical example of how this fear manifests in our daily lives. I once spoke to a woman who was terrified of hosting family holidays. Every Thanksgiving or Christmas, she would work herself into a state of panic for weeks. She would scour every corner of the house for dust. She would worry, will the turkey be dry? Will the gravy be lumpy? Will my sister-in-law judge my decor? By the time the guests arrived, she was exhausted, resentful, and vibrating with anxiety. I asked her a simple question: what is your goal when you host this dinner? She thought for a moment and said, to have a perfect dinner. To show them I can pull it off, to be a good hostess. And that was her trap. Her goal was about her. It was about her validation, her image, her performance. When your goal is to impress people, you will always be afraid. You will be afraid of making a mistake, afraid of criticism, afraid of not being enough. I told her, change your goal. Stop cooking to impress. Start cooking to nourish. Open your door not to show off your home, but to offer a sanctuary to tired people. When she shifted her mindset from performer to nurturer, the fear vanished. Think about it. A mother feeding her hungry child isn't afraid of being judged. She is just giving love. When you become a source of love rather than a seeker of applause, fear cannot survive. We see this same dynamic in our careers and our finances. We spend decades chasing the American dream. We want the status, the better car, the bigger house, the retirement fund that looks impressive on paper. We tell ourselves, once I have this, I will feel safe. But often, the opposite happens. The more we accumulate for the sake of ego, the more afraid we become of losing it. We look at what others have and we feel envious or ashamed. We become trapped in a cycle of more. True peace comes when we realize our life's work isn't about what we gather, but what we share. There is an old saying from a wise monk, do everything for God. This doesn't mean you have to live in a monastery. It means starting every action, whether it's writing an email, cleaning your house, or spending money, with the intention of service. When you act to help others, you are protected by a sense of purpose. When you act only for yourself, you are naked before your fears. I learned the most important lesson about fear and control right in my own backyard. For years, I was an aggressive gardener. I treated my garden like a project to be conquered. I wanted my roses to bloom on my schedule. I would overprune them. I would fret over every single yellow leaf. I would stare at the buds, willing them to open. I was tense and I was fighting nature. And you know what? My garden struggled. It felt like a battleground, not a place of peace. Then I realized something profound. You cannot pull a flower open with your fingers. If you try to force a bloom before it is ready, you will destroy it. I changed my mindset. I stopped trying to make things grow. Instead, I focused on being a helper. My job wasn't to force the bloom. My job was to create the right environment, good soil, water, and light. I treated the plants with gentleness, not demand. I stopped asking, "Why aren't you doing what I want?" and started asking, "How can I help you grow?" Suddenly, the aggression left my body, and the garden, it finally began to thrive. Life is exactly like that garden. If we approach our children, our partners, or our future with aggression, trying to force them to be what we want, we will live in constant fear and conflict. We will be exhausted. But if we approach life as a gardener, providing love, safety, and patience, we can finally relax. We can trust that the bloom will come in its own time. So ask yourself today, are you trying to force the flower open, or are you simply watering the soil? Let's stop engaging in the struggle. Let's start acting from a place of love. When you do that, there is nothing left to fear. Thank you for watching. If this message brought you peace, please like and subscribe. Walk in love today.